Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkal alayh wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlilhu fala hadiya lahu wa nashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa nashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن المجيد هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين. Dear brothers and sisters, it's my pleasure and I take it as my honor to discuss with you the Islamic leadership which should prove to be a role model for humanity. Today the world is like a jungle. Might is right. Whoever has got the power, has got the stick in his hand, they dominate over the regions and the world which serves their interest. UNO is a tea club which sorts nothing, and the Security Council is just a club of five for domination and serving their own interest. There are injustices everywhere. Injustices to the woman, to the weaker section, and overall, the way we are in this world at the moment, it feels like that there is no place to go to ask for justice, be it a country within a country or it could be at an international level. But we do not feel that there is any place where we should go and seek help, seek justice. It is exactly these circumstances that a prophet is sent, and prophet should come. The only snag is the prophet is no more going to come because Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the last prophet, and we are deputized to do the job of the prophethood. Whatever a prophet is supposed to do, his ummah is supposed to do the same job. Hence, it becomes more important to find out how Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was leading the people at that time, because he is the single most important role model for us as a believer and also for the whole world. So if we find it out, certain qualities which Prophet Muhammad SAW had, then we will be able to have an imprint on our brain that these are the qualities which a role model leader, as role model Islamic leader, should have. This world has produced military genius, empire builders, statesmen, religious leaders, and leadership at a different level in the history. However, most of the great leaders' lives remain hidden in mystery. Either no record at all or very partial record. And if you look at the private lives of these leaders, usually it will be nauseating. You would not be able to withstand it. Such a great military genius, such a great statesman, and the private life so awfully wrong, but that's the way the truth is. However, here lies the difference, that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as a role model, his life well recorded, recorded to an extent that even his references, the riwayah, the traditions from whom we get his hadith, even their biographies have been recorded. And we have given to this world the reference. As we talk today in a scientific field, we have to give reference. Where do you get this from? Reference of a citation paper, reference of a journal, reference of a book, but it is to the credit of the Muslim Ummah that we have given to this world first time that reference, categorization in the name of Asma'ul Rajal we have given. So Rasulullah biography, unlike any other leader of the world ever, Rasulullah life, private or public, both are in public domain. Both are well preserved, authenticated, and they are in the public domain. How did he live with his wife inside his home and this, that, and the other? So exactly for the Muslims to follow each and every aspect of his life. Therefore, Prophet Muhammad has an authentic, well-recorded biography and his works, which no other leader's biography has. Now we ought to find it out what qualities did he have so that the Muslim leaders or Islamic leaders should follow and emulate. Number one, first is knowledge. For him, the knowledge came straight from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the form of a revelation, whether wahiya jali or wahiya khafi, but it all came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But for us, we have to work hard to know from the exact source the Quran, Rasulullah Sunnah, Ahadith, Rasulullah biography, and the biography of Khulafai Rashidun, our other Sahaba, Sahabiyat, from our Aslaf, our elders, and the reformers. We have to know their history. We have to have a complete knowledge from that particular source, which are authentic. Number one. Number two is our leadership have to have the knowledge of their opponents as well. If they do not know who are their opponents or what is there on the table compared to Muslims and Islamic leadership, who are the others? So therefore, we have to find it out so that we could understand their plannings, their way of creating doubts and suspicions in the minds of our people, and so on, and what is their long-term planning. So, in other words, a Muslim, Islamic leader must be well versed, will be fully knowledgeable from the Quran, Ahadith, and the others, the other Aslaf history and the biography and Khulafai Rashidun. Apart from that, they will have to be well versed about also the other today's current social sciences. They will have to be aware of prevailing circumstances so that they could lead the ummah according to the prevailing circumstances. They should know exactly the cause of the problems facing the world. They should be well versed in the issues at hand, should have farsightedness, in-depth, insight, critical review of the situation. Not that just simply close the mind and just simply bring some ayah from Quran or Hadith, and in the current circumstances, how does those ayah and those hadiths relate to our contemporary world in the modern era, which satisfies our intellectual needs and satisfies other way as well. So therefore, our Islamic leadership must be fully knowledgeable. Remember, well read, well versed in the current circumstances. He should be fully aware and knowledgeable what is the current situation is and what is at stake. If he does not know, how can he lead the ummah? He must be able to learn the lesson from the history, and he must emulate Prophet ﷺ in planning and in action. Number two. So first is knowledge. Second is hikmah. As you heard the ayah which I have recited in front of you, it is also in Surah Baqarah and in Surah Jummah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Rasulullah among the unlettered people so that he could teach them the book, that is Quran, and he could purify them and he could teach them the hikmah. Now hikmah is equivalent to translated in English as wisdom, but that's partially true, because the Arabic word or the Quranic word is very difficult to translate in any other language. But let us accept, for with the limitation of the translation, it is equivalent to wisdom. But the hikmah means, number one, wisdom. And number two, also, it relates to sunnah. Primarily, when Quran talks about hikmah, it talks about sunnah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Because that is hikmah, nothing less than hikmah, nothing less than wisdom. So hikmah means sunnah, usually, if not literally. Literally, it means wisdom. Danai, hikmat, aqalmandi, danashmandi, mamla fahmi, basirat, farsightedness, insight. These all include hikmah. Well, what it is there for? Hikmah is an ability to apply the knowledge in practice in a given situation. It is to apply in practice the knowledge which the leader has in a given situation with wisdom, with insight, with foresightedness, knowing very well what are the consequences of the actions that he is taking. Now, Rasulullah Sallallahu hikmah was so evident in so many places, it is very difficult to quote one example, two examples, but just one example to quote. You remember in Bani Mustaliq, when Rasulullah was returning back, they were camped in a place, there was a well, and on that well, a fight started between the slave of Umar Farooq and an Ansari. Now the fight went on to an extent that slave of Umar Farooq slapped the Ansari. Now it was too much for a slave to slap an Ansari. So therefore, now the Ansar, among them Abdullah bin Ubay, he was sitting down there. He told, wow, this is an example of feeding a dog and then he starts biting you. So why did you feed the dog? So therefore, let us go to Medina. And in Medina, what we will do is we will try to not let the people who are belong to a lower class, Azillah, the people under bracket Muhajirun, we will not let them enter in Medina. And the people who were Aizza, who were sort of people with respect and honor, they will remain in Medina under bracket Ansar. So all the Muhajirun will be exiled. So then Rasulullah, when he heard, he went running towards these people who were about to fight, because the two groups, Ansar and Muhajirin, had gathered together to fight. So therefore Rasulullah went, he told, I am among you, and still those traditions of Jahiliyyah exist. And therefore Sahaba realized, they stopped, the matter settled down. Rasulullah ordered to decamp, and then he left. The whole caravan left, and left for the whole night, and the next morning till the sun went on and on and on. And the Sahaba were surprised. They were exhausted and tired by traveling, some on the camels, some on foot. Rasulullah wanted to stop easily. It was unusually very long journey, which Rasulullah didn't use to put burden on the Muslims. But this time he did, until all the Sahaba became tired and exhausted, and then he said, okay, let us camp. So they camped, immediately went to sleep, and then after that he started the journey again. You remembered why he did this? So that the people did not get enough chance to rumor mongering, to do the gossip. Immediately left on their journey, and the people are now here and there, and then after that they didn't get chance for rumor mongering or gossip. Then when at that time Umar Farooq said, I should finish off this Abdullah, he's creating trouble, Abdullah bin Ubay, the leader of the hypocrites. Now when they reached Medina, Abdullah bin Ubay's son, his name was also Abdullah, he put a line outside Medina. He told, here only the people with respect will enter the Medina, but not my father, and not the people like him. When Rasulullah heard that, he sent the message to him that let everyone come inside. Rasulullah turned around Umar Farooq and said, what do you think now? If that time, if you would have killed Abdullah bin Ubay, the people will not know the whole story. They will tell Rasul is killing his own follower. But now if ordered to kill him, no one would ask that question. That is the hikmah. Extraordinary story. And obviously his hikmah, which we will talk about Sulh Hudaybiyah later on. Now the third quality he should have is taqwa, fear of Allah for punishment in this world and hereafter. Taqwa inculcates the sense of responsibility towards the people and be they Muslim or non-Muslim. It inculcates the sense of accountability to Allah to face to face on the day of resurrection. Because a person who follows taqwa, he will be guided by the commands of Allah and His Prophet. He is always careful, not trespassing the limits set by Allah and His Prophet. Compared to other leaders, their actions are based on whatever they achieve for this world. But Rasulullah SAW, an Islamic leader, he works for both the world. And why? Because means are also important. Remember, the other non-Islamic leaders, for them means are not important whether they are halal or haram. They are acceptable or not acceptable. Their advice approved or prohibited. No. Whatever the means, the end justifies the means, but not Islamic leader. And definitely not Rasulullah SAW as a role model. The means has to be right and the end has to be right. Both have to be right. But now the end justifies the means. So that's the big difference between the two leadership. And you could understand the implications and the consequences of it as well. Now,
Dr.
Rasulullah
Javaid,
SAW,
can you adjust
so,
the camera a little bit? Your picture is on the side of the, not coming in the middle of the screen. Adjust the camera a little bit here.
okay, now?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it was.
Well, I could move the camera.
Yeah, camera. Yeah.
Now?
Yeah, that's better. That's fine. Thank you.
Okay, fine. Jazakallah. And the concept among the non-Muslim is my nation, right or wrong. No sense of shame. They talk very clearly. My nation, right or wrong. My community, right or wrong. This does not exist. This is opposite to the dictates of Islam. Unfortunately, it has also entered in our lexicon in the sense that even the Muslims in the Muslim country, they talk about either provincial level or different tribes. Well, what can I say? He belongs to my tribe, therefore I will vote for him, or I will select him, or I will support him. This is not a concept from Islam. This is absolutely contrary to Islam. My nation, right or wrong, my community, right or wrong, my race, right or wrong, my race is superior, hence has got the right to civilize others, and so on. Whereas Quran says completely different. وَلَا يَجْرِمَنَّكُمْ شَنَانُ قَوْمٍ أَلَّا تَعْدِلُوا اعْدِلُوا هُوَ أَقْرَبُ لِلتَّقْوَى. Even the hatred of a community or a person or a nation should not make you swerve away from justice, should not make you go away from justice. اعْدِلُوا, be just. هُوَ أَقْرَبُ لِلتَّقْوَى. Justice is nearest to the taqwa. Can you believe it? That level? I do not believe any other community has got this. That it is the justice which is closest to the piety. Even you hate a person, you hate an individual, you hate a community, and you have got the reason to hate a nation, and yet we have to talk justice and we have to do justice. Similarly, Rasulullah SAW taught his followers to trust in Allah, tawakkul ala Allah, and show humility. Remember, these are the qualities which Islamic leaders should have. Humility is just opposite of arrogance. Humility is the result of taqwa. A person who is muttaqi, he will not boast or tries to dominate over others. So if a person has been made a leader, an Islamic leader, he will not boast. He will not try to dominate over others. He will not gloss over things. He will not think others as little or haqir or kamtar. He will not think that way. He will give them full respect. And for us, we have got a reason. Abu Bakr Siddiq, when he was made the Khalifa, first Khalifa Rasulullah, he went to the Masjid al-Nabawi, he stood up on the member and he said, I have been appointed as a ruler over you, although I am not the best among you. Look at the humility. He was the best. Everyone knew he was the best. Everyone knew Rasulullah during his last days of illness when he was about to die. He told how many times Abu Bakr Siddiq to lead the prayer. He knew it. He was the companion of the Ghar when the Quran was revealed on him. Yet, look at his humility, his modesty. I have been appointed as a ruler over you, although I am not the best among you. I have never sought this position, nor has there ever been a desire in my heart to have this in preference to anyone else. If I do right, you must help and obey me. If I go astray, set me right. Obey me so long as I obey Allah and His Messenger. If I disobey them, then you have no obligation to follow me. Look at the level of humility. So our Islamic leaders should show to the world how much humility they have. They do not boast that they have achieved this, that, and the other. They have done this, that, and the other. It is because of him that whatever a movement and organization has achieved so much. And on the contrary, in the West, the leadership tries to sell and tries to buy. Look at the statements. I won't buy your state. I won't buy it. Your views, I won't buy your views. I won't buy your statement. Oh, you could not sell your views very well. What? Selling and buying is a trade? Yeah, of course. And you boast yourself. Look at the CV. The way in the West we are supposed to. We are supposed to show off. Well, we don't have time for that. But you understood me very well. That sort of humility the Islam inculcates, in particular among the leaders. Honesty and trustworthy, which is a sign of integrity. Rasulullah was called Sadiq and Amin before the prophethood. The Makkans called them. No one else. Makkans. They themselves called him Amin and Sadiq. And it appears that he was being prepared before prophethood. So, was it before Risala or after Risala? After prophethood. So, in other words, when we want to do the deputy job of a Rasul, that means taking the message to the others, we ought to have that integrity of personality. We ought to have that sense of amana, sense of trustworthiness. We ought to have that honesty, that truthfulness in our personality. Then only it will have the effect of our message if we take it to anyone else. So we should work harder to have inculcate those, because it also includes transparency and sincerity. But Amin, remember, amana, trustworthiness, and it is obviously I haven't got time to go into detail as to what trustworthy exactly it means. Quran introduces Rasulullah Sallallahu about his integrity, his character, his level of akhlaq. You are on the highest pedestal, higher rank, highest level of akhlaq and character. Hadith says, the best among you is the best in akhlaq and character. Another hadith from Tirmizi, what enables people to enterprise more than anything else is piety and good character. Prophet ﷺ emphasized a lot on the question of akhlaq. He himself was on the highest pedestal, and he inculcated, he nurtured the Muslims. He also advised to purify our intention. Hadith is very wazih, the first hadith in Hadith Bukhari and almost all hadith, that every action reward is dependent on the intention. Hence, we have to purify our intention. We have to work for it. We have to do dua for it, because intention could keep on changing. Sufyan Sauri, one of the Imam of the Fiqh, he says, I have not treated anything more difficult than my intention, because it keeps changing. And that's true. We may have started with a purity of intention, but it may not remain pure for long. After that, the name and the fame and the popularity and the position and all sorts of things creeps up, and then it could just simply create problems with our intentions and make it impurified intention. Quran also says, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِأَمَانٍ, and I'm not very sure why these qualities are not imprinted on our mind during childhood. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِأَمَانَاتِهِمْ وَعَهْدِهِمْ رَاعُونَ. The believers are those who are true to their trust and covenants. وَأَوْفُوا بِالْعَهْدِ إِنَّ الْعَهْدَ كَانَ مَسْئُولًا. Honor your pledges, for you will surely be accountable for them. Morals and ethics in leadership are so important and vital that all the opponents were subdued, not with the sword, but with the morals and akhlaq, forgiveness, forbearance, kindness, generosity, and mercy. These were the qualities that Rasulullah showed. So what does it mean? our Islamic leader should have those qualities which Rasulullah had. Communication skill is extremely important. Rasulullah was eloquent in his speech. He was called Jawami al-Kalam. He used to say a few words and you could keep on giving the tafsir and tashri of those few words only. You look at the hadith, just few words, but it has got the every meaning. Could keep on giving details. So similarly, the communication skill, and it is so important that Musa alayhi salam, when he was made the prophet, he said, Ya Allah, make my brother Akhi Harun a wazira. Kyun? Wahuwa afsahu minni. He is better communicator than me. Quran attests, Quran confirms. Musa alayhi salam accepted that he is not the great communicator. And I don't believe he had a stuttering. A prophet cannot have a stuttered speech. He cannot have these sort of. But he was not a great communicator. Like Harun al-Islam had a greater communication skill. He was eloquent in his speech. Musa al-Islam didn't have that quality. So he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help his prophethood by making his brother Harun as well. So therefore, we have to learn these qualities. And in particular, our Islamic leadership, as Rasulullah was the best and eloquent speaker and communicator. An Islamic leader should be able to motivate people and inspire people. Rasulullah used to motivate and elevate people. Can you believe it? Battle of Trench, remember? Muslims were hungry, thirsty, destitute, no sense of security. 10,000 enemies are surrounding them. They are absolutely almost lost. And they are digging the trench. And trench where? In Medina. You know, they are all mountains and hills. So when digging the trench, suddenly they found a big rock. They can't now dig it further. Rock won't break. They went to Rasulullah. Rasulullah came, took their spade and hit it. And they said, look, I find Iranian throne on your feet. He put another hit on the rock. Obviously, it started breaking. And then when the light, the light comes when you hit two hot things. So he said, look, I see in the light the Roman throne on your feet. I mean, can you believe? The Muslims are hungry, thirsty, destitute, poor. Their homes and their women are not secure in Medina. They are surrounded by 10,000 enemy. And now they are being told that Iranian and Roman Empire on your feet. What's going on here now? Motivation. Making them believe. You see that now? Inspiring people, inspiring Sahaba. That's the job of leadership. In the most darkest time, still the Islamic leadership will be able to find ways to stimulate and to inspire and to motivate his followers. These are the quality of the leadership. Competence. The Rasulullah showed the competence at each and every level. But Islamic leader should have a vision, a strategy, should be fully focused, oriented to goals and targets. These are the qualities for Islamic leadership as Rasulullah was. And on the top, there was meritocracy. When I read this hadith long time ago, when I read this hadith, I said, Subhanallah, Rasulullah has not left anything for us. Hadith from Al-Hakim. Whoever delegates a position to someone when he sees that someone else is more competent, then surely he has cheated. Meritocracy. Does meritocracy exist in our society, in our community, in our country? No. It survives somewhere else. But Rasulullah talked about meritocracy. And from Sirah, we know that Rasulullah never raised his hand. Had he lifted his hand, had the Muslim Sahaba in Makkah responded to the violence of the Kuffar Quraysh, they would have been decimated, finished. That was their strategy. Save yourself. Keep on getting killed or traumatized. No response. Kufu aydiyakum in Makkah. And Rasulullah did it very strictly, and all the Sahaba followed it as well. So Rasulullah did the nurturing and tarbiyah of his followers. Similarly, Islamic leadership has to nurture and instill and imprint those qualities in the minds and hearts of his followers. Prophet ﷺ showed military competence. during the Battle of Badr, Uhud, Battle of Trench. Now, he also stressed on time management. وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَشْهَدُونَ الزُّورَ وَإِذَا مَرُّوا بِاللَّغْوِ مَرُّوا كَرَامًا. Believers are those who do not testify to the lies and falsehood. And when they pass by the people involved in vain talks or vain action or vain deeds, they pass by with dignity and respect and honor. They pass by, they don't sit down with them. Someone is playing chessboard or playing cards or doing something wrong, or a majlis of ghiba or shikwa, or insulting someone, he does not sit down with them. He passes by with dignity and respect. That's how he nurtured the Sahaba. He also delegated, this is also for the enlightenment of the Islamic leadership. Rasulullah ﷺ delegated the responsibility to the most specialized people. Khalid bin Walid anhu comes. After Sulh Hudaybiyah, he becomes Muslim. After a few months, Rasulullah ﷺ makes him the commander, and many big Sahaba, great Sahaba under his command and his sends. Few months, he's a new Muslim. But he knows, he picks up. Rasulullah knows, he delegates the responsibility, even though he's a new Muslim. His really Iman has not been yet tested, and yet he sends, because he is the most competent one. Zayd bin Sabit, he makes the Katib Wahi, and I haven't got time, he is the one responsible for Majma al-Quran. He makes Bilal Habshi Muazzin all the time. Why? Sonorous and beautiful voice he has, and loud voice. Jafar ibn Abu Talib, he makes them the ambassador. He is the one who, in the court of Najashi, on being questioned by Amr ibn As, who was not a prophet, who was not a Muslim at that time, he represents the Muslims. He is made the diplomatic corps, diplomatic person. So he represents them. So in other words, selecting the right person for the right job, duty of Islamic leadership. Have high ambitions. He produces high self-esteem and self-confidence among his followers, looks for the best performance, and time management. Time management is extremely important. Remember, Umar Farooq used to do dua. Oh Allah, bless me with a barakah in my time. I have got so much to do and I haven't got time. When the time was not even traveling with the speed of an ant. Now we have got a fast life. At that time, at the time of Farooq, what time fast? That was not a fast time. Now we are living in a fast time and living a fast life. And he used to do dua. Oh Allah, give me barakah in time. So our Islamic leadership has to be very careful about his followers, about himself first, then about his followers for time management. The Rasulullah had a vision and a conviction and a commitment and firm conviction on his belief. Similarly, Islamic leadership has to inculcate the firm conviction among his followers and has to have a vision, a target, a goal, and he has to convince his followers that my vision is this, and you are going to achieve this by so many effort. But you could see here, the Sulh Hudaybiyah was the peak. You remember the whole story of Sulh Hudaybiyah. Peace for 10 years. No one will trample it. And if anyone went from Makkah to Medina, they will have to return. Anyone went from Medina to Makkah, they will not return the Quraysh. And obviously it was too much for Sahaba to take. Umar Farooq was very upset. He went and asked Rasulullah, aren't we on truth, haq? Rasulullah said yes. Then Abu Bakr Siddiq took over and he said that Rasulullah knows the best. He was not very convinced. Umar Farooq, for which he repented all his life. But later on he realized, Inna fatahna laka fatham mubina, which the eyes could not see. Fatah is not Fatah Makkah. Fatah is Fatah Sulh Hudaybiyah. How did this prove? When this ayah was revealed, I don't understand how the people must have explained it or took to their heart. How come it was Fatah? It was humiliating compromise, and yet it proved to be Fatah Mubin, because after this, when the peace started, Rasulullah started sending the wufud, the Tablighi wufud to different people, letters to the emperor, letters to the king, and it was peaceful time. So many people forged their forge group in groups, the hordes people started becoming Muslim during the peacetime. Remember, there is a corollary attached to it. Hence, even now, Islam spreads when? During peacetime, not during violence. Yes, the Islam opens the people's heart during which? During peacetime. Remember that. So everyone else thought Sulh Hudaybiyah was a humiliating compromise. Rasulullah had a vision. He could understand it very well. And Battle of Ahzab, as I have mentioned to you in detail. Also, Rasulullah showed his courage every time during the war and even before. I mean, can you imagine his level of courage and bravery when he's going to take upon the Roman Empire? These people with these Sahaba, the sunken cheek and sunken tummy and the ragtags without much of arm and ammunition, and he's taking these people to take on the Roman Empire. The courage and the bravery, what he took, what he did, had a very, very adverse impact on the morale of the Roman army. That's called courage. And obviously, Rasulullah showed courage in so many places that you are all aware of. Justice. Rasulullah was sent on this earth to establish justice. Remember, when you decide, وَأَنِحْكُمْ بَيْنَكُمْ, so decide with justice. And justice in abstract form. Remember, the Quran says, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu kunu qawwamina bil qist shuhada lillah walau ala anfusikum abil walidain wal aqrabin, and it carries on. Can you read it? The duty towards the parent is immediately after the shirk. And yet, here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals that even if it goes against you, against your parents, against your near dear ones, against your blood relatives, this is the justice. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed us through Rasulullah how he established justice. Today, the world is free is full of injustices. We need the prophethood or the leadership like him. So he was sent, وَإِنْ حَكَمْتَ فَحْكُمْ بَيْنَهُمْ بِالْقِسْطِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُقْسِطِينَ. Shura and consultation. You remember Surah Shura, Surah Shura, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed, وَالَّذِينَ اسْتَجَابُوا لِرَبِّهِمْ وَأَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ. So our leadership should also have consultation and should not decide like a dictator. He must take his followers into confidence. Then only the followers will be able to do the job. If you don't consult them, and you could imagine what level of consultation. I give you one example. Remember when Rasulullah got the news that the Makkans are going to attack Medina. Rasulullah took the consultation of the Sahaba. He asked the people. Remember the emotions, the sentiments so much among the young Sahaba who could not go into participate in the Badr, and also other Sahaba who could not go in Badr, and they defeated the Kufari Quraysh against all the odds. So they were so emotional, sentimental. Then they said, we are not going to remain inside the Makkah, inside the Medina. We are going to fight and defend outside Medina. Rasulullah's viewpoint was to remain inside Medina and fight. But he took the consultation. That's what they decided. He went inside and he put on the armor, came out. By that time, the other Kubar Sahaba realized it was a mistake from other Sahaba, that Rasulullah's viewpoint was to defend the Medina remaining inside. So they told, Ya Rasulullah, we have committed a mistake, so we would do as you wish. Rasulullah said, when a prophet puts on the armor, he does not put it off. He then takes. So what does it tell us? It must have the same as firm and decisive attitude, Islamic leadership, and they should consult. Decisiveness and firmness, and Rasulullah showed in Battle of Uhud. And he showed many places, but just one example. You know, Battle of Uhud, the Sahaba lost 70 martyred, so many wounded, and they returned back to Medina. And the very next day, Rasulullah took the Sahaba to follow the Quraysh. And the Quraysh, on the other hand, were deciding or planning to come back and again attack Medina. They realized that although we killed 70 Muslims, but we did not achieve what we came here for. We did not finish them up. So now let us go back to Medina and finish them up. But when they got the news through another passerby that Muslims are coming to attack you, they simply left that place. Look at that decisiveness and firmness which worked to the advantage of the Muslims, although they were in very weak position, wounded, very morally demoralized, lost 70 Sahaba, and yet Rasulullah took that decision. This is called the farsightedness, decisiveness, and firmness. And pragmatic decision the leader should make as Rasulullah made. Wasn't it a pragmatic decision in Sulh Hudaybiyah? How many people were there in Sulh Hudaybiyah? 1400 Sahaba. Remember that? How many? 1400. 2 years later, Rasulullah goes to Makkah and has the victory over Makkah. How many Sahaba went in Makkah? 10,000. Imagine 13 years in Makkah and 6 years in Medina, 19 years, he could muster only 1400 people in Hudaybiyah. And within 2 years of Sulh Hudaybiyah, the peace treaty, he musters 10,000 Sahaba went to Makkah. That was the difference. That's the reason. It is inna fatahna laka fatham mubina. That's the reason it was a very evident victory. And our Islamic leadership ought to have that pragmatic approach. Sometimes you have to be flexible. Sometimes what appears on the surface is you are retreating back, but it is not retreating back. That will prove to be the victory. Sacrifice and selflessness. Rasulullah did not attain anything, did not gain any worldly thing. Neither himself, his wives, or his daughters, or his blood relatives. Nothing. Even when he was dying, he said, whatever is left from my account, give it to Batul Mal. There is nothing much to give. He didn't have anything. Now, sabr and patience and endurance, Islamic leadership has to show it. Rasulullah showed it enough in Valley of Abu Talib, Shab Abi Talib, in Taif, in Hunain, and in different places. Obviously, I haven't got time to go into detail. Similarly, resilience is part and parcel of a leadership, and that to Islamic leadership. How Rasulullah withstood in Makkah and in Medina. What is resilience anyway? Resilience is the ability to stand up if there is any defeat, if there is any fall, you stand up and then after that start working all over again. This is called resilience. So therefore, resilience, Islamic leadership should not get disappointed, should not be despaired. As Quran says, وَلَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ. Believers are not those who will become in despair or despondent from the mercy of Allah. So resilience they must have. After every fall, they must get up and it should open the door for victory or for success. As Rasulullah nurtured and did tarbiyah of his followers. And you could see even after Rasulullah, all the Sahaba, that's what they gave example of. The Prophet, he was compassionate, and Islamic leadership has to show compassion to his followers, to his enemies, and even against his foes. He should be compassionate. He should not be judgmental. He should be tolerant. He should show empathy. And leadership should take their followers as their own family members and should look after their well-being. So our Islamic leadership should take their followers as their own family members and should look after their well-being, should not send them to destruction or ruin. They should take decision. Every life is precious. Every future of the life is precious. So they have to be very careful when they take any decision. It's not just simply in the name of Islam, let them get killed or let them be destroyed or ruined. No. Islamic leadership should behave as if they are their children, their well-being in their hands, and they will be accountable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I will finish in 2-3 minutes. Forgiving others. Rasulullah was at the peak of this character, forgiveness. I give you one example. When Rasulullah reached Makkah, remember 13 years of persecution of Rasulullah, physical torture, mental torture, attempt at his killing, and his followers, immigration to Habsha twice, and then leaving immigration from Makkah to Medina. Immigration is not that easy. And yet, Rasulullah, when he conquers Makkah, and the enemies come, first they fled on the mountains, and when they come down, and then they say, oh nephew, nephew? What nephew? Today he's become nephew because he's victorious. The elders of Makkah, the kuffar, They come and talk to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Oh nephew, what would you do to us? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, what do you think? Then the Kuffar Quraysh elders, they say, you are the son of a nice person. And you are nice, you are kind, you are generous yourself. Yeah, look at that. Then Rasulullah said, I will say to you nothing but what Yusuf alayhi salam told his brothers. La tasrib alaykum al-yawm. There is no reproach. There is no grief. There is no grief over today. You would not be taken into accountability of. Go. Antumul talaqa. Fazhabu. Antumul talaqa. So go. Today you are free. That's the reason sometimes the people who became Muslim after Fateh Makkah, victory over Makkah, are called talaqa. So forgiving, Islamic leadership should forgive its own followers as well. Should show magnanimity. Should not be very stingy on every small things. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? Anas radiallahu anhu was 10-year-old when he was brought to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He lived for another 10 years with him. When he became 20, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam departed his soul from this earth. He says in 10 years, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam never reproached me, never asked me question, why did you do this? Why didn't you do this? Despite the fact that I committed so many mistakes. And last is accountability. The leadership must realize that they are accountable to Allah, and on this earth they are accountable to the people, to their followers. Like Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu, when he was given the khutbah in Masjid al-Nabawi, he was wearing a qameez, long qameez obviously, and then a person, he got up and he says, how can you have this when we have got our booty, our share? We cannot make qameez. How can you have? And Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu was a tall figure, big build. How can you have this qameez? Then he said to his son, Umar, just Abdullah, even Umar radiallahu anhu, Abdullah, get up and tell. Then he said, well, I have given my share to him as well. Accountable. When he stopped the woman from coming to masjid, one woman said, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not stop us coming to masjid. Who is Umar to stop us coming to mosque? This is called accountability, my goodness. And I could keep on quoting example. But our Islamic leaders must realize that they are highly accountable to Allah and also highly accountable to their followers, to their audience, to their muqtadi. Now, last couple of minutes. Mandatory character from the followers. Because, this question I am always told that Muslim Ummah in dire sets today, in bad shape today, because of lack of leadership. I think it is only partial truth. This is not full truth. The other part of the truth is Muslim masses are not sincere to their faith. It is not only leadership. This is wrong. This is a wrong statement. I don't believe it. And I defend it very heavily that it is not the leadership only. They have got some faults, but the main responsibility lies on the ummah or on their followers. So they must look into their own heart, into own chest. What is their problem? You remember Ali Rizal who was asked, well, we had Khalifa before you. What a peaceful time. What expansion of Islam. And look at you. You are Khalifa. And look at the situation. All the time civil strife and battle and war and nothing else. No expansion of Islam, no peace in house. And Ali Rizal said, well, the statement is true, but when we had Khalifa before us, the people were followers like us. And I have got followers like you. That's the reason this situation. So we should blame ourselves as well. And the followers should have a husn zan with their Amir and with their leader. Should show persistence, perseverance, and continuity to continue with the attitude of Sami'na wa Atana. We listened, we heard, and we will follow. If you don't, then even if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam comes, even any prophet comes, nothing is going to change. Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusikum. Unless we change ourselves, but we want only one thing. The leadership, we have made a scapegoat. We have made a scapegoat. And we talk about the lack of leadership. Now the last minute. Today's leadership at a world level and even within a country is behaving like a cunning fox. who serves his own purpose at the expense of others and not bothered about others' rights or justice. Now the world needs a leader like Prophet Muhammad SAW, like never before, who could inspire people, building goodwill, trust, build their character, unite them, discipline them, and work for common good, where the people detest evils and the animal desires and work for higher moral values to get the reward in the life hereafter and succeed here. It would be enough to say a statement from a French historian, a well-known Lamartine. He says, remember this statement, if the greatness of purpose, Rasulullah's purpose was greatest, if the greatness of the purpose, a smallness of means, no means, and the extraordinary result, look at the result, what happened, where the criteria for human genius, who of the great leaders dare compare with Muhammad Sallallahu? Who writes? Not us, a historian, a non-Muslim. A statement of Bernard Shaw, Islam has the capability to lead its followers in and every situation. A statement of Karan Strong, who is still alive today, the time we are living in needs the leadership of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Can you believe it? What a testimony to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Unfortunate state of Muslim Ummah. Now that Prophet is no more going to come, and we are his deputies, we live in a hostile world, it is our leadership that should really show the way to the world that we would be in a position to establish justice. What to speak that we can't create justice among ourselves. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the leadership who has got these qualities which we have discussed. And these leadership are at a different level, whether at a level of organization or at a national or a community or international level. But we could survive with justice, with dignity, and with respect. Jazakumullah khair.
Jazakumullah khair, Doctor. Mashallah, very comprehensive thought.